I'm Mark Matsumoto, and today I want to show you how to make a refreshing cold soba salad that's perfect for the relentless heat that we've been having. So stick around. Japanese summers are a flurry of frenzied festivals and breathtaking fireworks displays, but they can also be savagely hot and humid. I've done traditional cold udon and soba noodles before, but today I'm going to show you an easy, protein-packed soba salad with a light sesame dressing that'll cool you down and fill you up. Looks pretty good, right? Let's start with a look at our ingredients. I've got 200 grams of soba noodles. I'm using matcha flavored noodles today, but any soba will work for this. For the dressing, I'm using 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, 2 teaspoons of maple syrup, and a half teaspoon of kombucha or powdered kelp tea. To add substance to this, I've got 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 200 grams of firm tofu, a quarter teaspoon of salt, 150 grams of shiitake mushrooms, and 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. For the vegetables, I've got 30 grams of scallions, 65 grams of shelled edamame, and some celery sprouts for garnish. To prepare the tofu, I'm going to start by cutting it into half-inch thick squares. You want the pieces to be thick enough so they don't fall apart, but thin enough that we can fry them up to give them a nice meaty texture. Then I'm gonna line the slices of tofu up onto a tray lined with several sheets of paper towels. Now you can sprinkle both sides of the tofu with salt. This not only seasons the tofu, it draws out any excess moisture, which will make the tofu much easier to brown. Once the tofu is salted, set it aside to drain while you prepare the other ingredients. Next, I'm gonna chop up the scallions. Just trim off the root end, and then cut them into a few segments to make them more manageable. And now you can chop them up. By the way, these are very thin scallions called banno negi in Japan, but regular green onions will work fine, or you could use chives. For the shiitake mushrooms, you want to start by cleaning the caps off with a damp paper towel. The best way to do this is to wipe from the center of the cap to the edge, and repeat this as you rotate the cap in your hand. This way you're able to get the whole cap without peeling the brown layer off the surface of the mushrooms. Be sure to check under the cap for any debris as well. Next, I'm gonna slice these into 1/4 inch thick slices. These are gonna halve in size when we brown them, so you'll want to cut them thick enough so they provide some oomph to our salad. Also, these mushrooms have already had their stems trimmed down, but if you still have long stems, you want to cut the tough part off before you slice them up. The last thing we want to prep is the sauce for the soba, so add the kombucha, soy sauce, maple syrup, and sesame oil to a bowl, and stir this together until the kombucha is completely dissolved. Okay, now I'm gonna set a pot of water on to boil for the soba noodles. To fry up our tofu, add the vegetable oil to a pan that's been preheated over medium-high heat. Then we're gonna add the drained tofu in a single layer. I'm gonna let these fry until they brown on one side, which should take about 2 minutes. Once you start seeing some browning around the edges, flip them over. And it looks like I was a little too confident in my chopstick skills, so I'm gonna grab some tongs. Now we're gonna continue frying and flipping these over every 2 minutes or so until the tofu is golden brown and has a nice crisp layer on both sides. Be patient here, because this layer is what's gonna absorb all of the flavors of our sauce. Okay, this is looking pretty good, so I'm gonna move the tofu to the outer edges of the pan. Then I'm gonna add the shiitake mushrooms. You wanna spread them out as flat as you can. And this pan's a little too small, so I'm gonna go ahead and pile the tofu up on one side of the pan. The shiitakes will release some water before they start to brown, so be patient. When the mushrooms have browned, flip them over and brown the other side. Now I'm gonna redistribute the tofu on top of the mushrooms so they can soften up with the steam coming off the shiitakes. I know this might sound a little counterintuitive since we worked so hard to crisp them up, but what we've essentially created here is aburaage, and to give it a soft, meaty texture, we need to rehydrate the surface of the tofu. Once the tofu is softened up and the mushrooms are nice and browned, drizzle on the remaining tablespoon of soy sauce. This'll burn easily, so give it a few tosses to coat everything evenly with the soy sauce. And the mix-ins for the soba salad are done! Okay, our water is at a full boil now, so I'm gonna add the soba noodles in and cook them according to the time on the package. These ones take 5 minutes. Like any noodle, make sure you submerge them as quickly as possible so they cook through evenly. It's also important to stir them regularly until they're soft enough so the convection of the water moves them around on its own, or the soba is gonna stick together. While we wait for the noodles to cook, I have some exciting news to share with you. I get asked a lot about the brands of ingredients I use, and it's always a little tough to answer because most of my favorite brands just aren't available outside of Japan. Well, that's all gonna change starting today because I've launched a shop with Kokoro Care packages. Through this partnership, you'll be able to order the actual ingredients that I'm using in my kitchen and get them delivered to you in dozens of countries around the world. For this recipe, you can get the soy sauce, the kombucha, and the green tea soba noodles from my shop. So go check it out using the link in the description down below. And be sure to use coupon code MARKSFavorites to get 10% off your first order. Okay, our timer is up, so let's drain the soba. Then I'm gonna run them under cold water in a bowl to quickly chill them. Change the water a few times and be sure to agitate them with your hand to remove any excess starch on the surface of the noodles. Once the soba is nice and chilled, shake the strainer to force out as much water from the noodles as you can. Okay, let's get these into a bowl. And then I'm gonna add the shelled edamame and scallions. And then I'm gonna pour over the dressing. Let's give these a good toss with some tongs to ensure each strand is coated with an even layer of sauce. Finally, I'm gonna add the tofu and mushrooms. Give that a quick toss to distribute them evenly. And our cold soba salad is ready to serve. The trick with serving the salad is to ensure you get an even mixture of everything, so I usually do alternating layers of soba to stuff. Okay, let's get some more stuff on top of our mound of noodles. And then I'm gonna clip some celery sprouts to use as a garnish. I love the herbaceous flavor that these add, but they're optional, so you can substitute them with whatever greens you like. Just arrange them on top so they don't look too messy, and our vegan-friendly soba salad is ready to eat. Oh, it smells so nutty and delicious. Let's try it out. Itadakimasu. The noodles are just glistening and they're this beautiful green color. Look at that. They're super earthy and nutty thanks to the green tea and that sesame oil. And it's got this perfect balance between savory and sweet thanks to that maple syrup. But I think the best part is it's loaded with umami thanks to the kombucha. All right, I'm gonna try out some of this tofu here. Oh. When you fry the tofu, it creates a crust that soaks up all the flavor of that soy sauce and the dressing like a sponge. And it also gives it a nice meaty flavor. All right, I'm gonna have some shiitake with the noodles here. This is packed with so much flavor and umami, you'd never know it's plant-based. Oh yeah, That's so good. Remember to check out my ingredient shop and let me know in the comments what other ingredients you want to see there. Alright, now I'm gonna go cool off with some shaved ice, but check out this playlist for more cold noodle dishes. And I'll catch you in the next one.